Ratchet & Clank has some good secret spots. Like, I still don't know how to get up there on Planet Gaspar. You can see on the map, I've explored everything but this green chunk here. Reaching spots like that is rewarding because you really have to pay attention and look for where the path forks off. It's challenging in some of these levels. Ah, there it is. I genuinely looked over that crater the last 2 times I visited this stage. Kind of a cool vibe down here. You got these little metal poles supporting the ceiling so it doesn't collapse and fill this cave with lava. That's a neat detail. Though there are some volcanic rocks. I don't know, these feel weird. I think the texture is too detailed. It doesn't quite match the style of all the surrounding textures. It's too busy. Does that make sense? I might be crazy, I can't say for sure. Take an elevator and you get to collect the gold bolt. I'm glad I can finally look down at my ship from up here, knowing I finally figured out how to reach this spot. Since we're back at the beginning, let's explore the rest of the stage and look for... Oh, welcome to Video Game World Tours. Today we're exploring the latter half of the first Ratchet & Clank. Yeah, forgot to do that earlier. Is sleep a goated activity or what? If you want to level up your sleep game, check out Manta Sleep. They make all kinds of sleep masks. Sheesh! I have the Manta Sound Sleep Mask, and it's straight fire. It connects to my phone through Bluetooth, and I can listen to music as I fall asleep. It blocks out all the light, so I can take a sound nap and get through the day without being salty. It's bussin' for real. If that mask isn't for you, they have a ton of other options. They really ate. And if that's still not enough, until June 8th, if you spend $99, you'll save 15% off your order. Spend $149 and save 20%. All facts, no printer. Don't be unserious. Use code PRETZEL at checkout to save 10%. Get some Riz and pick up something from Manta Sleep. Thanks for the sponsor, guys. Back to the video. Yeet! There's this door towards the beginning of the stage that you have to shoot through. Or maybe it was a wall? I can't remember. If it was a door, why does it have this little raised lip that you have to climb over? And if it was just a wall, what was the point of this section of the stage with this path being blocked? It's completely isolated with it intact. Actually, it feels like it's too early in the video to be nitpicking that hard. I'll just move on for now. There's a turret only reachable by making some perilous jumps above lava. Why would that be the only way to... Ugh, okay, look. I realize this is a video game. I understand that Insomniac wasn't trying to make a hyper-realistic world that would make sense if it actually existed. But it's kinda fun to analyze game worlds through that lens anyway. To completely acknowledge that I'm looking at this game in a way the developer in no way intended and give in to that absurdity. Why would this turret be only accessible through some dangerous jumps? Maybe it's so normal creatures capable of jumping can reach this turret while keeping it inaccessible to these little critters. There's no right answer, and that's the fun part. Here's a room with a bunch of parts to build some big robots. I didn't notice that the first time around. Interesting. A bit further down the path, there's a room with some maps all over it. Interestingly, it's not a map of this planet, it's a map of Batalia, the last planet we looked at in the previous video. Considering this is a stage seemingly dedicated to the production of military supplies, maybe these are due to be shipped to Batalia? That stage had a military base. That kinda makes sense. It's interesting that there's this track here. I initially assumed it was part of some train track loop, but it got destroyed and this was all that was left. But I noticed that the ship here has wheels on the bottom. Not quite wheels you'd expect to work with these train tracks, but hey, it's close enough. I wonder why the ship doesn't land and take off like the others in this game. What makes it special? That's the end of that path on this stage. It's kinda hard to notice at first, but there's another one for you to explore as soon as you leave your ship. Like I said, this game is good at hiding secret spots. There's a little platform that's difficult to reach. I'm not entirely sure you can reach it without damage boosting, but maybe I just have a krill issue. Don't remember if there were any crates here during my first visit. Kind of a peculiar spot. It's lonely. And again, another spot that's slightly out of the way. This one is related to one of the skill points you can do for this stage. You don't need to come over here physically, you can just shoot this spot from afar. Actually, now that I think about it, the spot we just looked at was related to this skill point too. Yeah, that makes sense. That's it for Planet Gaspar. We'll just hop in the ship and head to the next planet, Orxon. This is a nasty planet. It's also one you're supposed to visit twice. The first time has you playing as Clank, and then you come back later as Ratchet when you get a helmet that lets you breathe freely. Because it's intended for you to come back here, it's kind of a big stage. Does it have any interesting spots? Let's find out. Early on with this path, there are some death pits you can fall into. They're pretty deep and they even have teeth. Is the planet alive, perchancebly? There's a little green spot I haven't explored here. When I came back, I must have noticed that, but I realized I couldn't get up there, so I just moved on. Literally during the writing process of the first video, I remembered that you can wall jump. I had beaten the game by that point, and it took me that long to remember that was even a thing. So there. How about this spot? Peculiar room to have completely inaccessible from non-wall jump capable beings. What if that valve needs to be turned? Who's gonna do that? Not me, that's for sure. Nothing super interesting for a bit here. A random control panel with some monitors. Images of other stages in the game. Neat. Oh, there's a lot of them in here. With the orb in the middle. The orb. I always thought this room was weird, particularly with these little particle effects that scoot across the floor. I have no idea what these are supposed to be. Sparks? Flames? Why do they move around in such a specific pattern? And they just come from nowhere. Bizarre. The room right next to it isn't anything special. It just stands out to me for some reason. Maybe it's this curved path or the fumes emanating from the goop below. I can't point to any one thing. It's just one of those spots. Nothing for a good bit of the stage. I don't know, stage isn't really a vibe like some of the others, to me at least. Here's a room where it's obvious there was a bunch of crates. Love these. That's it, I guess. Better to spend some time with the other stages. Pokataru is up next. Now this is what I like to see. I'm always down for a beach vibe. It's much appreciated after the nastiness of the past two stages. This feels like a chill vacation planet. First of all, you have all this water you can swim around in and explore. You won't find a whole lot, but I like that they at least dotted around a crate here and there. Makes it feel like it's not completely pointless to explore the seabed. There is at least one important thing to find underwater, a little cave that leads you to an alternative path. I was about to do my thing where I gush about caves and when they're related to water. That's one of my favorite level design tropes. But unfortunately, this isn't a cave. There's no ceiling to it. Kinda unfortunate. Been a while since I found a really nice cave in a game. I don't really have anything special to say about this path. Though at the end of another one that it connects to, it's just a dead end. During your first visit, there's a boat you take from this spot that leads you elsewhere in the stage. But now, it's gone. The northwestern tip of the stage is just nothing. You get to gaze out at the ocean, wondering what it might be like to explore those islands in the distance, or maybe even those mountain ranges behind them. It's all you can do, really. Alright, let me die so I can get back to the beginning of the stage and check out the other path. I think there's a fish that kills you if you swim for too long out here, though that might be the remake I'm imagining. I don't think I'm supposed to be here. I'm genuinely surprised I've managed to go out of bounds with this game twice. I did it in the first video with Kerwin, and it happened in the same way no less. I was trying to die so I could go back to earlier in the stage. I usually don't see many bugs when playing games, maybe it's just my luck, but this game seems to attract me to them. Now that I think about it, I did discover that sliding tech when at low health. I got a couple of comments in the last video pointing out that glitch is well known and used by speedrunners. It feels like this game is held together with duct tape and a dream. I kinda love it for that. I fell down into the water while I was going to the next path, so I swam over here and found a spot where the playable space isn't flush with the wall, so you can see into the void. I saw another spot like this in the first video, too. I swear I'm not doing this to say the game is bad or anything. I just love showing this stuff off. I've looked at so many games on the channel and haven't found this many little oversights myself before. It's exhilarating. Anyway, the city section of the stage. Can I just say, this place has some very interesting bridge designs. They'd be annoying as hell to deal with in the real world, but as a neat detail in a platforming game, they're awesome. There's a handful of buildings around here, but none of them seemingly have entrances. Talked about that in the first video too. I imagine that would be a really easy thing to overlook as a level designer. It creates this interesting vibe where the world wants to be real. Like it has these structures to make you think something goes on inside them, but how would someone get in? It's just a facade. Which, duh, of course it is. This is a platformer. You aren't supposed to take it that seriously. I just think it's interesting how seriously it does ask you to take it. You're supposed to buy that this is a resort planet, but not really focus in on the details. Details like, where are the amenities for this resort? Where even is the resort? Where do people stay when they come here? Don't worry about it. There's a building at the end where you get an upgrade earlier or something, but now it has no purpose. You can't even talk to the guy in here. He just watches you as you jump around and make a fool of yourself. I can't help it. I was born to make a fool of myself. Hoven is the next planet. I really dig the vibes here too. Snow is a first for the game, and it just hits right. I love this little path right at the beginning of the stage. It's not what you'd call out of the way, considering literally everyone that's played this stage has walked through here, but I wonder how many people stop to appreciate it. These buildings, this path, the light posts all over, it's comforting. I'd love to take a nighttime stroll in this area myself. Well, if there weren't such feisty creatures that infest it. I really like this little tunnel. It's understated. Cute even. What if YouTube had business hours? Like it was open from 9 AM to 5 PM on weekdays, and those were the only times you could watch videos. Maybe people would be more discerning about the things they watched. Food for thought. This whole building is a real standout for me. It feels like it could actually have purpose in this world. This paved path around it is super nice. I love all the greebles on the side of the building, those pipes beside the window, the set of red lights up there. It's so alive. Inside, not so much. It does have all the detailing like we saw on the outside of the building. This little panel sticks out. It's slightly brighter than all the other things in this room. And then there's this grate that reaches into the void below. But when observing the actual design of the room, it's empty. I love the empty rooms in this game. They're a defining trait of Ratchet and Clank. There's some more empty rooms further into the stage. They're just so gamey. Like it's obvious these would not exist if this was a real world. It's a charming bit of world design. Unfortunately, I don't have much to say about them. What could I really say? Could I talk about the few details that do decorate these rooms? Even then, there's not much to talk about. They're not meant to catch your eye or have any depth. There's something to be quickly glanced over while fighting enemies or breaking boxes. But I still appreciate them nonetheless. They're part of this game's charm. The next stage has you in the orbit of Voltanis. Not really a whole lot to say, it's just kind of a space station. No real branching paths to explore. Okay, here we go. Get a bit of an aesthetic change when you go inside. I'm digging it. Always a fan of toxic green sludge. That's a classic. What is it? Where did it come from? Why does it rise and lower so frequently? Who cares? It's green sludge. Here's a room I genuinely didn't notice the first time around. Gold bolt, of course. But it's also kind of a neat room by itself. It's long and cramped. I don't know, it speaks to me. Okay, we got some orange sludge. Is that allowed? Can they just do that? Heading back outside. Huh. How do you get up there? I fiddled around for a bit, but I couldn't figure it out. See what I mean? This game is great at teasing you with spots you just can't seem to reach. guess we're going back in. Oh, I forgot about this. This is genuinely a neat spot. I love the little flip as you're going through the elevator. It kinda throws you for a loop for a second. Then you're greeted with this. Great view. Once you clear out all the enemies, it's so barren. Certified video game world tour spot right here. Over there is a hole that leads to the spot I couldn't reach before. I genuinely thought there would be a path from up here, but it seems like there isn't. There has to be a way to reach it, but I don't know where it is. Honestly, if I were a level designer, I would do something like this, but put them in a completely inaccessible spot. Drive the player crazy trying to find a solution where there is none. I'm always coming up with evil ideas like that. I would hate to play a game full of ideas that I come up with. Nothing else to see here, except for this cool-ass airstrip. I dig it major. Now we're visiting the surface of Ultanis. This one, honestly, I kinda just want to get in and get out of here. Not a fan at all. Dreary aesthetic, not a super cool landscape, and it's just kinda annoying to play through. You don't even get to run around with your best buddy Clank. Total bummer of a stage for me. The only area I want to talk about is along one of the side paths. You grapple to this lone building. It almost seems like it should have been out of bounds if you were on the main path. I love when games pull little tricks like that, letting you traverse an area you thought you'd be unable to. There's a couple of really chill spots down this path. That's it. Sorry, Ultanis. You might be someone else's favorite, but you're definitely not mine. Quartu is another planet in the video game Ratchet & Clank that released in 2002. Not sure I'll have much to say about this planet either. I guess I just have a type when it comes to levels in this game. At the end of a long and dangerous underwater section, you're spat out into a lonely room. I would say this is a chill place to hang out, but the violent electricity nearby isn't really a vibe. I was kinda dreading exploring the rest of this stage because of the robots that you have to transform for, and it's just so slow to do all that. But it turns out they're gone when you come back, so that's nice. Ugh, I hate climbing on ledges in games. It's almost always unbearably slow. Oh, this is a great trope in levels. I love when you see things being built that come up elsewhere in the level, like in Doom Eternal, how you see the Doom Hunter being built before you fight it. It genuinely fleshes out the world. The main reason to visit this planet is to see Clank's mom. It's important to stop by every now and then to spend some time with her. Unfortunately, I missed Mother's Day. Hopefully she understands. Kalibo 3 is the home of Gadgetron, and boy is it bustling. It reminds me of all the ships flying around in Ralgar, I think? But where those ships were in combat, these are for business. People got places to be. I was taking in the scenery for the stage, just kinda admiring all the work the environmental artists put in, when I noticed some stuff under the water. I remembered that there wasn't any underwater sections in this stage, so I didn't know what this was at first. Then I remembered, that's the hoverboard track. What's it doing underwater? Do they really have to drain all that whenever a race happens? Weird. I like all the moving walkways. I kinda made fun of these back when I talked about Dead Rising, but almost immediately after making that video, I came across one in real life and realized how nice they can be. Huh. Wow, the pathways change direction depending on which side you're on. That's an interesting detail I'm sure not many players noticed. I noticed it, environmental artist person, and I'll gladly showcase your hard work here. You had no reason to do this, but you did. Okay, well, I guess you did have a reason, but whatever. I appreciate you. I love all the potted plants here. Very cute. No spots for a bit. I do like the skybox and the distant mountains. Maybe I'm just in a particular mood, but I love thinking about what the world looks like way out there. I talked about that in the Sonic art video just before this. Just think, there's a whole world out there that we'll never get to see in these games. Thank God most of the enemies are gone from this section. It gave me some trouble my first time around. Oh man, big chunk of boxes. Here we go, I'll break them for you guys. Just so satisfying. Huh, that's weird. There's what seems like a doorway here, but it's blocked off. Like this seems like it should lead somewhere, but there's just a wall. I wonder if it did go somewhere early in development, but they blocked it off when they changed stuff around. Here's where you enter the hoverboard race. Not really related to exploring the world or anything, but I love that there's absolutely no load time to starting a race. Genuinely surprising to press the button and just immediately be in it. Guess that's it for this stage. Towards the end of the game here, the levels are getting a bit more combat gauntlet-y. Not a whole lot of fun exploring to be had. The Orbit of Velden is the penultimate stage. It starts with another swimming section to speed through. Just before you reach the end though, you can double back and go into this room. I think there was a gold bolt here? Empty now though. Just a whole lot of nothing. Well, a tiny little control panel. Imagine this being your station. No friends in sight. Big empty room here. Some gizmos and thingamabobs on the wall. Look at this beauty. Got a lot of ships to go through. Nothing super interesting in any of them so far. I guess this room is kind of a vibe. The control room of the next ship is neat too. Interesting that they'd place a teleporter right in the middle of the room where people should be dealing with ship stuff. Not the best spot for it. You get to go out into the vacuum of space. That's kinda neat. Nice to see the scale of you being a tiny little creature next to the big spaceships. Okay, there's just nothing in this room. I have no idea what was in here. The final control room. Of course it's gotta have the most control panels and monitors of all the ships we've looked at. And a tiny chair for Drek. Isn't it cute? With that, we'll return to where it all began. Ratchet's home planet, Velden. This is the first stage you get to play on, but you only get to return at the end. That's a peak game design trick. It always hits hard ending things where they started. It's sad to see the state the planet is in. It wasn't necessarily bright and cheerful before, but it was a hell of a lot better than this. And really, the only spot worth visiting on this planet is Ratchet's hangar. It's where we started out. Ratchet and his new buddy have been through a lot. It must be bittersweet to come back here as Ratchet, to be right at your front door after so long. But there's no time for rest. Drek must be stopped from destroying Velden. After a long and quite difficult fight, I might add, it took me a while to beat this guy. Ratchet and his pal Clank can finally kick back and relax. They're finally home. That's it for this game. Get subscribed for when I inevitably cover the other games in the series. It could either come out tomorrow or in 2 years from now. You never know. Thanks for watching, Pretizens, and see you next time.